So here we are, right before signing day. Everybody's getting excited, and so are we.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Well, we're putting this episode out. I'm going to put it out the night before signing day. And so we're going to try and maybe do a live show like around noonish tomorrow. And we think, so just stay tuned. We're going to put this out. We're going to have another show tomorrow to talk about some of the signings because things are getting kind of nutty, Jimmy, all over the place. And you see the list of players I've got for us to talk about tonight. And let's go ahead and knock this out. Let's go ahead and talk about Ja'Shawn Ross here for a second, who committed to Alabama. You know, we cut the pod about this time, plus or minus yesterday, and we talked about how we think Ja'Shawn Ross will be a part of this class. Well, lo and behold, he committed like 30 minutes after we did the pod, but we didn't put the pod out till this morning. So blah, blah, blah. You don't care about all that. And then Ja'Shawn Ross is a part of this class. And, you know, I was reading up on him a little bit. This guy, and I've seen some video of him now. I mean, I wasn't as in tune with how good he is. This kid's good, and he's got potential through the roof. He's got a wingspan that's 6'10". That's not a joke. That's what they said. Now, I didn't see him spread his arms out and measure it, but that's what it said. 6'10" on the wingspan? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not comparing him as a prospect to Rashaan Evans because Rashaan was a five-star that everyone in the country wanted, and Rashaan ended up being a really good player at Alabama and a first-round pick and living up to his five-star status, I think. Ja'Shawn is not a five-star and shouldn't be a five-star. He's more of, to me, just a solid four-star prospect. But Ja'Shawn Ross, his high school tape reminds me of Rashaan Evans. And I think that in terms of size and skill and traits, they're sort of similar, in the ballpark. So, yeah, I'm really high on Ja'Shawn Ross. Hey, overall, I mean, you're talking about, there's different rankings from different sites, but this is the number 6 player in Missouri. This is a kid that took official visits to Oklahoma and Tennessee. This is not some lightly recruited 3-star at all. This is a quality edge prospect. And it was always going to be difficult to sign an edge because we just signed Keon Keeley, Jan Zapier, and Quay Russaw. Has anyone ever signed 3 5-star edge players in one class like Alabama did a year ago? So it was always going to be difficult to add another, big-time player at that position. We end up with Ja'Shawn Ross, who again, I think is outstanding and has a chance to be a really good player at Alabama.
Yeah, according to Max Preps, he had seems a little low. 23 total tackles, 11 tackles for loss, and 8 sacks in 10 games. He also caused a fumble, blocked 3 punts, and blocked a field goal. He also had 14 receptions for 254 yards and 4 touchdowns on the offensive side. I think
he played some offense. And he's from St. Louis. Kansas City.
Yeah.
So he probably, I don't know the situation there, but being from such a big city, he probably plays against pretty good competition.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that. And again, I just like his potential. Like, yeah, he's kind of thin. He reminds me a little bit of maybe Ezekiel Knight. You remember him?
I do like that. And yeah. Zeke played some offense, just like Ja'Shawn. And they're built similarly, those long arms. And boy, right before he got that hole in his heart, which is what he had that made him quit playing football, Zeke was turning into a heck of a football player. And then had the very unfortunate medical situation that made him ultimately just couldn't play football at the same level anymore.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he had a big long catch against Oklahoma when we played them at home under Mike Shula. And then he had a big catch. And then we moved him to defensive end. I think he went to number 47. And he was hell on wheels, like you said, until his unfortunateness. But regardless, Ja'Shawn Ross will be a part of this class. I don't think there's any worry about him flipping or changing minds or any of that. I think he signs tomorrow and everything's all good. Kevin Riley, the running back out of Tuscaloosa. This is a guy that sort of a home run hitter, as you said. And as you astutely pointed out yesterday, I mean, yeah, some people may call him a project, but everybody's a project at this age. And I like him a lot. I like the fact that he's from Tuscaloosa. He doesn't give me Brian Robinson Jr. vibes, but I mean, his story is a little bit the same. And although I would say Brian Robinson had a more decorated high school career than Kevin Riley did, but I like Kevin Riley's potential. And he obviously could have chosen from several different schools. I think Alabama's going to get him, and that's going to bolster the class.
Yeah, really highly ranked kid. I think he's national top 100 and maybe all 4 services, certainly all 3. I talked about him a lot today. Today is the first day I actually saw senior film of Kevin Riley. I've been excited about Kevin Riley all along based on his underclassman tape, his junior tape. But I saw senior tape today for the first time. Boy, let me tell you, I mean, he's got 2 elite traits. His burst is fantastic. And there's probably not a trait. There's probably not an element to playing running back more important to me than burst. And burst, I simply mean, I don't know, maybe you measure it from 0 to 10 yards. You know, when you do somebody's 40, that 0 to 10 to me is more important than the rest of the 40. It's that start you get off to. Can you go like you are shot out of a cannon? And he does. His burst is outstanding. Secondly, he's got some really good short area quickness. And by that, I mean, hey, when you're avoiding tacklers, do you have quick feet? Can you move laterally? Can you stop and cut? It is outstanding. So between his burst and short area quickness, this is a really good running back prospect. But what makes him a top 100 prospect nationally is, in addition to that burst and that short area quickness, he's tough. He's tough. He will run through arm tackles. He will run through the tackle box in goal line. This is not just a speed back track and field guy. When you touch him, he goes down. No. This kid puts his head down and runs through contact. So I think he's got a great chance. I would say, everybody's going to have a knock. My knock on him would just be his feet are so quick. I think he might do a little bit too much dancing in the hole, a lot. He picks his spots. He's really patient as a runner, which is great when you have that kind of burst. But in the SEC, what do they say on Seinfeld? You know that it's go time. I mean, it's go time. You got to go.
You got to trust that it's going to be there, that the hole will be there. Yeah,
that's right. You got to anticipate where the hole's going to be and go. Because if you're just sitting there waiting and dancing around and trying to make people miss, I mean, you got nine guys that are going to get to you before you can get to that hole. So, but we've had other backs that have had that issue at Alabama and eventually, made their way out of it. I mean, backs have sort of habits they create in high school. I remember Derrick Henry. It sounds nuts, but
I was about to say Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry was a bounce outside guy when he got here, because in high school, when he bounced outside, he could outrun everybody to the sidelines and then run 70 yards for a touchdown. He had to learn to be a north-south runner, and he did that at Alabama after about 2 years. And then, boy, once he figured it out, boy, did he ever figure it out. So, hey, all these backs, they all have to take time and improve and adjust to what it's like playing at the SEC level. So Kevin will have an adjustment, but that's okay. That's why you have Jam Miller and Justice Haynes and Richard Young already, a class or two ahead of him. So Kevin can take his time, but he's also good enough, I think, to where as the third guy, the fourth guy, the fifth guy, he can get carries next fall and do pretty well. A lot of natural ability there. He commits tomorrow, I think, around 1:00, and we're projecting him at BOL to flip to Alabama. It's a projection. It's a guess. Miami's obviously in this NIL era.
Well, they just picked up another running back. They just picked up another running back from Ohio State.
Yeah, Jordan Lyle, who's one of the nation's top running back prospects, flipped from Ohio State to Miami. That probably has helped open the door a little bit for Alabama. But in the end, I think this was about prioritizing and settling on a back. And Alabama's recruited Kevin Riley all along. And I think Alabama made a push for Riley at the same time Miami's, flirting with other backs. And the timing of it just all worked out really well.
You're talking about Derrick Henry. I'm not going to go off on a thing about it, but I remember very clearly in 2015, it probably his game against Mississippi State, great example of what you were talking about. He was he trusted the hole on like his first long touchdown run, and it was wide open. He burst through there, and everybody's like, my God. And then another time he bounced it outside, probably like his old habits, and he was able to take that for a touchdown. So the moral of the story is Derrick Henry can do whatever the freak Derrick Henry wants to do. Jimmy, when we come back, we're going to talk about a new commitment for Alabama from the transfer portal. We're going to talk about another transfer portal guy that I hope we get a commitment from, and some more on recruiting in general. Right now, though, I need to tell everybody about FanDuel. You know we love FanDuel over here at the Locked On Network. It's the absolute best. And as the weather is getting colder, and it is getting colder, the NFL offers stay hot. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's 150 smacks if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. Man, there's so much you can do at FanDuel. Go check it out. You got football and basketball and whatever you want. They got it at FanDuel. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, which include spreads and player props and over-unders and much, much more. So what you got to go do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get into this NFL season like we are, because we love the NFL just like we love college football. We love college football more, but NFL season is also a lot of fun. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Okay, so let's just do this a little. Let's knock out the high school stuff, and then we'll get into the transfer portal. So Edric Houston should be signing tomorrow, roughly noon Central. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, noon Central, and committed to Ohio State. Boy, he's kind of undecided here late. I mean, I think he has seriously spent the day considering flipping to Alabama. Our current projection is that he sticks with Ohio State, but this is one that bears watching. This is not a, well, forget it, don't tune in at noon. No, trust me, if Edric Houston was committing in the next 5 minutes, I would have told Luke, we can't do the show. We got to watch Edric Houston. I mean, that's how close it is. I think it could be Alabama, but you know, we want to make predictions on the show. My prediction would be Ohio State right now. Boy, he's a great 5-star prospect. Reminds me of Jonathan Allen. If he goes to Ohio State, he's going to be a great one. They have an outstanding history, a recent history with defensive linemen. We know that, the Boses and JT Malu and many others. Boy, and you know, we'll see what happens, you know, with his whole career. Alabama gave him a lot to think about. I think it's been a tough decision for him today. Again, predicting Ohio State, that one could go either way.
Yeah, I predicted Alabama yesterday. I'm sort of like you. I'm leaning Ohio State, but I'm not going to be shocked one way or the other. I do think it's come down to these two. For those who don't know, Edric Houston is a rather large defensive lineman out of Buford, Georgia. Alabama's had some good luck with Buford players here of late. So maybe that'll play a role. Who knows? But I would love to see him in this class. Now, a lineman that Alabama has secured is LT Overton, the transfer from Texas A&M. He was a 5-star plus, I think, by on 3 is what they call them, right? Don't you do 5-star pluses?
We do 5-star plus, and what that simply means at on 3 is someone who is a 5-star on every service.
Okay, gotcha.
4 services on 3, 24/7, Rivals and ESPN.
So LT Overton, originally from Georgia, and he had some ties. He had some family ties to the University of Alabama, in that his dad and maybe somebody else worked at Alabama
His
for
mom.
a while.
Both parents.
Yeah, both parents. And, you know, the A&M thing, he was – I mean, look, I'm not trying to start a whirlwind, but he was caught up in the A&M thing when the A&M thing was something to be caught up in. And Nick Saban created a firestorm after that class, because I think Alabama thought they had a great shot at LT Overton, and Walter Nolan, for that matter, who's also in the transfer portal. But LT Overton does commit to Alabama. And one thing that has come to my attention, Jimmy, you know, I think, and you said this best, so I want to give you credit. You said Texas A&M didn't do this kid a lot of favors because it looks like he needs to be heavier and playing on the line more. I mean, they've got him playing sort of, you know, his hands aren't even in the dirt, it seems like. Yeah, Jimmy's dealing with I think a maybe a moth flew down his throat. He's still there if you're listening on just the podcast.
Sorry about that.
There, he's back. He's back.
So LT, when he's coming out of high school, he could be projected as a guy to play outside or inside. And Alabama thought of him as an inside guy. Moth is still there. Alabama thought of him as an inside guy. A&M thought of him as an outside guy. So at A&M, they wanted him to lose weight, play outside, play sort of a Dallas Turner role. Alabama sort of sees him as an inside guy. I think where A&M really made a mistake, Luke, is he was 17 years old when he showed up. He'd reclassified. He was really young. So they get him at A&M, and he's probably too young to be thrown into the fire, much less you're asking him to lose weight, play outside, which is going to be a little less physical than inside. But probably it was best for his long-term future to gain weight, play with his hand on the ground, and be a down lineman. But A&M spent a lot of time trying to turn him into Dallas Turner. Alabama thinks of him as a Justin Aboigbe, a pass-rushing defensive lineman. So he's shown up. He was literally, I believe we got intel at BOL that he was 255 on his visit this past weekend. 255, which is basically really about Chris Braswell size, maybe a little bit bigger than Chris Braswell. But we want him to be a down lineman. So he's got a few months to gain about 30 pounds or more. And when you're like, whoa, that's a lot, keep in mind, this kid showed up at A&M in the 270s.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to lose weight to get down to what he was and work to keep it off. So it's easier to put weight back on that you've already had. And long term, this is in his best interest. I mean, let's be honest. As an outside linebacker at Texas A&M, I think over 2 seasons, he's played in a bunch of games and has 17 tackles and like 1 sack. I mean, so it wasn't really working. Now he was in a backup role there, but at Alabama, I think we've got a better plan for him than A&M had. And I'm excited about how athletic this kid is for such a big dude. I mean, and again, he's going to be, I would say right now, Luke, I'll predict he will play this fall at 290. And I know that's a lot of weight to add in a short period of time. Alabama's got a whole science center that they built to do just this. It's literally the science center. That's what they call it.
They may just strap a third grader onto him and say, now you just made weight.
You remember Weird Science with Anthony Michael Hall, and they made Kelly LeBrock? Yeah, that's what they're doing in there.
What do you mean?
That's what they're doing in there.
It's still got the poster.
That's what they're doing in there.
All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to tell everybody about LinkedIn. But when we come back, we're going to talk about Evan Stewart, who just jumped in the portal. And we're going to talk about some other portal and recruiting stuff. I'm going to tell you, it's a weird year for a lot of guys who are already committed. All right. Now I want to tell everybody about LinkedIn. And when you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is just so intuitive, it's quick, and it's easy. And they even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier than what I just mentioned. That's crazy. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, they're going to apply. You can bet on that. They're going to apply. Okay, so my main target, and I know that it shouldn't be this way. I know that our main targets in the portal should be more defensive linemen, probably. They should be maybe a tackle, but probably not a tackle. But maybe more trench guys, because those are the foundation blocks, right? And we got some wide receivers, and hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe Ryan Williams signs tomorrow. We still don't know. I'm feeling less and less sure about that, but maybe he does. But we already got Isaiah Bond and Kobe Prentice. We got some dudes. But Evan Stewart, Jimmy, I have gazed upon greatness, and it is Evan Stewart. I just think this man is an Adonis of untapped potential. I just think he's got speed. I think he's got hands. I think he's got toughness. Do I think he's going to be a culture fit? Frankly, I don't know. That's how do I put this nicely without making the Locked On Aggies mad? Whoever we get or wherever these Texas A&M guys go, I think you're going to have to get some of the Texas A&M off of them because it feels like there wasn't a great culture over there, and you're going to have to reprogram them. And Fadil, am I saying that right? Fadil Diggs, he just committed to Syracuse,
right?
Which is interesting. Syracuse has they got Kyle McCord too, so they're loading up on the
a bunch of other guys. They've kind of been the Ole Miss of the Northeast.
Yeah, I dig it. Mm-hmm. So, so Diggs is going to Syracuse. Walter Nolan looks like he's going to Ole Miss, and obviously we get LT Overton. There's some other Texas A&M guys in the portal right now that may not have a home yet, but Evan Stewart, to me, I mean, maybe somebody will say Malachi Nelson or Dante Moore, who is committed to Oregon now, or any of those guys, Riley Leonard. To me, Evan Stewart's like the crown jewel of the portal class. I just think he's fabulous, and I would love to have him on this team.
91 catches, 1,100 yards in 2 years at A&M. That's outstanding production. I mean, to compare to
quarterback play usually.
Yeah, they didn't have a stellar. I mean, Wigman's good, but he didn't play a lot. I mean, how many starts did he have? Like 6. I think 91 catches, 1,100 yards. In comparison, Isaiah Bond had 60 catches for 800 yards. So Evan Stewart's been a lot more productive than Isaiah Bond, and they're in the same class. And Bonds, frankly, had a much better quarterback, Bryce and then Milroe. So that just shows how good Evan Stewart is. I'm a big fan. I think it's the same refrain, and I know people get sick of hearing the same thing, but to me, this is just about NIL, and that's if Evan Stewart wants to do Jordan Addison, if he wants to be Jordan Addison from 2 years ago, that's fine, but it won't happen at Alabama. But if he wants to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pull a Jamison Williams. I'm going to do what Jamison Williams did. I'm going to go spend 1 year at a place that's going to launch me in the NFL, and that place is Alabama, just like Jamison. So he can be like Jamo and show up for just the standard NIL deal and then cash in with a big NFL payday. Or he can pull the Jordan Addison. And it worked out for Jordan Addison. I mean, in the sense
Let me add to that. Yeah. Let me piggyback off that for a second. I just had the thought. My selling point would be, okay, you can be Jordan Addison. That's right. And he got a bigger payday than he would at Alabama because Alabama's not going to pay as much. That's already been that's known because they sort of pay kind of the same to now somebody's going to get more, whatever. But maybe somebody really at USC, maybe they threw the bag at you. Okay. And I'm not mad at USC, not at all. But that did it work out? Because I would argue this. Yes, the quarterback that was throwing you the ball, he won the Heisman, and that's wonderful for him. But what if you had come to Alabama? Alabama lost 2 games on the last play of the game each time. Are you telling me Jordan Addison couldn't have been the difference in those 2 games when we knew we had receiver issues on several different occasions? Isn't that the year he would have been, or was that, am I thinking that's the wrong year?
No, I think Addison's a rookie, right? Yeah, Addison played at USC last year. Yeah, he was a rookie. So he could have made a difference in winning and losing.
Wouldn't it? Okay, and now, if it's the difference in winning and losing, and let's say you just win one of those 2 games between LSU and Tennessee, then you go to the SEC championship game. I'm not going to be crazy when I say, let's say Alabama wins that game. We've done pretty well against Georgia there before. All of a sudden now, Jordan Addison, yes, you made less on the initial money grab. You've made a lot more in how people know who you are because you're playing on a team that's the national. By the way, I just saw a tweet that said Alabama is technically the most watched team in all of college football. So you're on. There are a billion eyes on you at all the time. I mean, I might be fudging the numbers. There are a billion eyes on you at all the time. And you're playing for the biggest brand in the sport right now. It may not be 10 years from now, but it is right now. And you're having a former Heisman Trophy guy throw you the ball. I mean, dare I say, it would have been a lot better for him long term to have gone to Alabama and taken less money on the front end.
Oh, you could certainly make that
That's my
argument. I'm
selling
just saying he wanted a bunch of money. Apparently, got that for his asking price from USC, and I think he was a late first round pick, right? I think he was picked
Yeah.
somewhere in the 20s. I'm sure that was probably disappointing to him. I think if anything, Alabama's argument is, hey, if you sign with Alabama and play with Bryce, you might have been drafted a little higher, than you were out of USC, which matters a lot because that's a lot of money. I mean, if you're the 14th pick versus the 27th pick, that's a lot of money, probably more than he made at USC in his 1 year there. So, I'm just saying it worked out for him in the sense that he got what he was looking for, and he still got drafted in the first round, and he's having a big time rookie year for the Minnesota Vikings in the NFL. So let's see what Evan Stewart wants. I mean, to me, it's about what he wants. I am not really, a lot of times these big name kids get in the portal, Luke, and I'm throwing a wet towel on it real quick saying, gosh, just forget it. I'm not saying that with Evan Stewart. I think there's a real possibility of Alabama being involved here. For instance, it's similar to LT Overton. I mean, where Alabama almost signed LT Overton out of high school, got to know him and liked him. Evan Stewart similarly was very close to picking Alabama out of high school and then went with A&M like LT Overton. So to me, it's kind of a similar situation. And hey, LT, he went from A&M's NIL deal to Alabama's NIL deal and didn't phase him. So I don't rule out the Evan Stewart possibility at all. One final thing I'll throw in about Evan Stewart is I don't think it would affect Ryan Williams. I don't think so. So I'm not saying, boy, don't take Evan. You don't know how Ryan's going to take it. You got to talk to Ryan, and his people saying, if we're bringing a portal receiver, it doesn't make any difference, right? I mean, he's a junior and you'd be a freshman. But at the same time, all of these kids that you're signing believe, and in Ryan's case, rightfully, that they're going to be a big part of things from day one. And here's another guy that's going to be, running routes and catching balls.
Yeah, I'll say this. If Ron said he didn't like it, I'm not taking, as much as I love Evan Stewart, I'm not taking him.
That's what
I know.
saying. You gotta ask. I mean, you gotta.
I know. I'm with you. So, by the way,
it's probably fine. It's probably fine. 3 receivers generally play at once. It's not just one guy, but you got Bond coming back. Boy, how about that threesome though? Boy, to sell Rhino. What about you go out and line up with 3 wide receivers and it's Isaiah Bond to Evan Stewart and Ryan Williams?
Good Lord, Jimmy, that is unfair to everybody.
They should cancel the season and just mail Alabama the trophy.
Just look, let's go ahead and skip the 25, y'all. Not even do the 12-team thing. Okay. I was going to talk a little more, but we're right at the end, so let's leave the rest of it for tomorrow. We're going to try and have, we hope, a live show about 11:45 tomorrow. Edric Houston's supposed to sign at noon Central, so we're going to try and get on a little bit before that, and a little bit after that. That's the plan. So if you want to, be around for that, please do. And look, thank you guys for subscribing and being part of all this. We love some recruiting. Hopefully that comes through in this show, and we appreciate every single one of y'all out there. Y'all are the absolute best. Don't even care that some of y'all make fun of my camera or Jimmy's ability to handle tech. I mean, or that I'm just kind of fat. That one stung a little bit, but anyway, we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Everybody get some sleep right here before signing day. And until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.